Welcome to part 2 of the Mulberries. Here are more photos of the layout of Mulberry B, some details on the Leibniz pier heads, and a few snaps of Mulberry A before and after the storm. Here are other aerial photos of Mulberry B. They provide several views of the protective walls of the harbor and their positions in relation to the unloading facilities of the port. These working elements were 14 pier heads, 4 of which were connected to the shore by up to a half-mile of floating runway that might be called piers. Here are pictures of the pier heads. The 4 steel columns on which they moved up and down to accommodate to the tide in this area more than 20 feet make them unmistakable. Onboard generators provided electricity for the motors that moved the platforms vertically. 2 of them were fitted with a reinforced deck so that an LST could ride over it and then open its bow doors to unload, as shown here. These units had their own runway or pier, as did the pier heads for barges. The 10 main pier heads in a single row, and with only 2 runways, employed conventional methods of offloading, using the derricks and slings of freighters. But as shown here, a ramp for unloading trucks was constructed on at least one of the pier heads. This 9-photo composite shows again the ships and caissons that comprise the protective walls around the port, and added one small snap at the lower right depicting the lineup of the main row of pier heads. The runways or piers were constructed using 80-foot long Bailey bridges supported on specially designed pontoons. One picture shows ambulances on the runway bringing wounded for transport to hospitals in England. Mulberry B functioned for more than 5 months and was finally dismantled at the end of 1944, but the American Mulberry A, set up more or less as indicated in this sketch, and obviously considerably less complex than Mulberry B, was destroyed by the storm after less than 10 days of operation. Here are before and after photos of a Mulberry A runway. But not long after the storm, discharge of cargo on the Omaha beaches equaled or surpassed the volume 9,000 tons a day that for 5 months were handled by the more fortunate Mulberry B. Artists employed by the military painted somewhat glamorized pictures of the Mulberries. In this composite are a few very small reproductions of their works. In hindsight, the immediate question is, was the great effort that produced the Mulberries worthwhile? It involved more than 25,000 laborers and extravagantly vast expenditures for scarce raw materials, and their transformation into 10 miles of piers, 23 Leibniz pier heads, more than 100 massive concrete caissons, and 93 Barbadon breakwaters. The tonnage of supplies unloaded at and forwarded from Omaha Beach after 20 June 1944, when Mulberry A ceased operations, is comparable in amount to that passing over Mulberry B. This fact suggests that the construction and installation of the Mulberries were unnecessary. But even so, the harbor's were a remarkable feat of engineering that represents one aspect of the indomitable will to win.